Zamorano, ancora Ronaldo, grande percussione Ronaldo, gol straordinario di Ronaldo, ripresa, Ronaldo segna un gol capolavoro.
We'll start with Inter, actually, who make their debut in the Champions League. Only the second time in the competition for the last, I think, 18 years, maybe. They didn't frequent the European Cup all that often in the 80s and 90s. And a kind of odd year, they won the group. We'll talk about the group in a moment. Ronaldo had joined the year before, just escaped David Murray's clutches, of course, to go to... but this is a weird old season again. What did they finish? 8th? And manager getting punted. I think it's just that kind of summed Inter up for me in the 1990s. Circus, great names, great stars, but just could never quite get it right. And Maratti chased this Serie A title for ages, and he kind of had to wait until Italian football had completely lost its structure before he could get it.
Yeah, we're very much now in the time where it's a club a season really is sort of starting to come to the fore here. There's throughout this dominated by Milan and Juventus, certainly the Champions League, but also Serie A. But I think we're now starting to see that now. Obviously, Milan will win it in the 98-99 season that we're talking about. But then when you come through, you've got Lazio coming the year after, and then Roma coming the year after that. I guess to understand where Inter are, you probably need to figure out where they were the year before. Summer of 1997, nowhere really, and like you said, hadn't really been for quite some time. Finished third, 96, 97, and nearly won the UEFA Cup. But to be honest, other than a couple of titles, one in the 80s, one in the 70s, it was really mid-60s, Catenaccio, Helenio Herrera, before they were really dominant. So yeah, you're talking close to 40 years from then. And you're right, Maratti, as was always the case in Italy, there's always a owner with lots and lots of money, potentially dodgy deals, wanting to get things done so that they can their club can win. And that summer 97, he needed a superstar to try and, like I said, compete with Juve and Milan, especially because both teams, we've spoke about Milan tailing off a little bit. Juventus in this year that we're talking about now are starting to tail off a little bit as well. So there's an opportunity there for them to have another contender coming in. So £19.5 million later to Barcelona, and Ronaldo joins them after that ridiculous season that he had at Barcelona. I'm sure everyone listening has seen the goal compilations. I retweet one on Twitter pretty much every hour, so you can see them there if you haven't seen them. But yeah, he comes in at Inter. They sell 51,000 season tickets this season, which is a 300% jump on the year before. So it's safe to say they're pretty excited by him. And he just picks up where he left off at Barcelona and PSV and Cruzeiro. To be honest, 25 goals in the league, 35 overall. They finished second that year behind Juventus, and they win the UEFA Cup 3-0 against Lazio. Zanetti, Zamorano and Ronaldo getting the goals in that one. But they really should have won the league that season. I think I've spoken about it quite a bit on various shows. David will remember they went to Juventus to play. They went to Delle Alpi in late April 98, losing 1-0. Ball falls to Ronaldo in the box. It's going to be a goal until Mark Giuliano completely takes him out of the game. Body penalty themselves. This one is probably a penalty. If I tell you it was Taribo West making the challenge, you can figure out roughly what happened. I guess Paluca saves it, but Inter's heads have gone by this point. They lose 1-0, go 4 points behind, 4 or 5 games to go, and they eventually finish 5 points behind. So Inter fans call that game the other game of Calciopoli, not to be too dramatic about it. So yeah, he came close to the Serie A title in his first season, and I think that would have been some achievement for that Inter side, to be honest. So that's, I guess, where they were coming into this 1998-99 season. Obviously, there's the small matter of what happened to the World Cup with Brazil and with Ronaldo sandwiched in between. And I think, as you said, they just weren't the same team this year. He wasn't the same player. He only played 3 times in the first 11, 12 games. Inter dropped to mid-table. They signed Baggio after that great year at Bologna, but not even he can save them. 4 managers that season. I think they had Roy Hodgson coming back as manager / technical director. They had Gigi Simone. They had another couple of caretakers. It's tricky, this one, I think, when a squad is so defined by one player. I mean, the squad is good. it's getting better. But this season that we're talking about, it's not terrific by Serie A standards. There's Pagliuca, Zanetti, Simeone, Zamorano, Djorkaeff, Aaron Winter. Everything else is kind of decent, but not on a par with.
Adam, see, tactically, I remember specifically, and Rob will remember this, the Inter Man United games later in the season. I don't think I've ever seen a top level team in the modern age so built for one player. Like that entire machine, he was everything in it. And when he was out, they tried Baggio, they tried Nicolo Ventola. Remember him? He ended up at Crystal Palace. At this stage, he was seen as a very promising youngster. The problem was, of course, there was literally only one Ronaldo. And they had honestly built this entire side around him. And you're totally correct. When they weren't there, we talk a lot in modern football about a plan B, but the rest of the team were, they were all doing their part, but it was like the machine was missing a vital central component, and it never looked anything close to being what it could have been, or what it even should have been with the players you've just mentioned.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think you're right. And then when he's not there, he's going to fall off a cliff. I think he said himself at this point he had classed himself as having chronic injury problems, and I guess people forget that this is the season before he actually got the injuries. 99-2000 was where he got the first one, and he was out for a few months, I think it was. Then he came back, and his first game back, he lasted about 5 minutes and did the same thing again and was out for about a year. But yeah, this season, I guess it'd be interesting to see what they could have done, because, I mean, he's still my favourite non-Rangers player of all time. Like I said, I think maybe in the last episode of the one before, that Barcelona season sort of just coincided with me getting Sky TV in the house and then being a massive Serie A fan as well at the same time. Those 2 seasons, Barcelona and his first Inter Milan, just unbelievable. In terms of style of play, I think we spoke last week on really starting to redefine that wide attacker winger role, but Ronaldo just something else completely. I mean, it's the pace of a winger you can't really. There's no nothing even, and there's nobody now even really that I would say like the pace of a winger, finishing of a striker,
built like a number 9. Built like a British number 9.
I was going to say built like a centre half, to be honest, because he was so physical. I just hadn't seen anything like it. Just a flurry of stepovers and buck teeth. Just used to barrel his way through defences. There's a quote. My last thing on Ronaldo, I'm sure I'll let somebody else speak. But there's a quote from Zanetti who said, once that you saw he had made his way through the defence, like somehow he'd barreled his way through and goal, you could just turn around and walk back to your position because you knew he was going to score. As soon as he was through, you knew he was either going to step over and make the goalkeeper fall or just go around him and score. And I think that probably sums him up. He was pretty inevitable for those couple of years, but I do think obviously it had a big impact on Inter's first season in the Champions League when he was only available for a few games, really.